Good morning, Jackson, Mississippi, and all surrounding areas. You tuned in live to the free-range human show of choice, your daily dose of reality radio. It starts now. We are streaming worldwide at wyab.com and on the TuneIn app. And we are on the Facebook this morning, streaming live on the Save Jackson Facebook page if you want to watch video. We're doing the first segment live. And I just wanted to jump straight in here. We'll get to the phones and all that good stuff here in just a second. I made a promise to a lady yesterday that I would start the show with a update on the water. And I have that here. This is from the Jackson Jambalaya website, kingfish.com over there. There's a City of Jackson water customers remain under a state imposed boil water notice. So just a heads up there without getting into the nuts and bolts of all of it. There is still a boil water notice going on in Jackson. The state of Mississippi has issued that boil water notice. The grown-ups have had to step in. Ain't that what y'all told me was coming to the White House with Biden and Kamala? That the adults were about to be back in the room. Well, it looks like the adults have had to take over the water situation. Even so much as having to issue boil water notice. Like, no, this water is not safe. You can't drink this water in Jackson. Don't do it. I feel so bad for everybody there. I really do. Well, I don't feel bad for it if you voted for Chalkway. You're stupid. But I feel bad for the business owners and the people who didn't sign up for this nonsense. You know, my parents, my wife's parents, people like that they didn't vote for Chalkway. They didn't ask to not have running water in their house. I feel bad for the business owners, the restaurants. But there's a part of me that says if you've opened up in Jackson in the last year, since especially since the last water fiasco, where we were out without water for a month or whatever it was, what did you think? Nothing's changed. Did you think this wasn't going to happen again? I'm just asking. Same for people that moved to Jackson. Did you think they fixed it? This ain't getting fixed, guys. This is a forever problem. If it ain't getting fixed with Joe Biden in office, it ain't getting fixed with anybody there. So just be mindful of that. While y'all standing for Ukraine, waving your pride flags and all that stuff, all that virtue signaling, you don't have water to drink in your own backyard. While your churches are flying overseas and doing third world missions, the city of Jackson, to build water wells, mind you, the city of Jackson doesn't have clean drinking water. So just, again, no clean drinking water in Jackson, $100 billion plus going to Ukraine. It'll end up being $1 trillion before it's all said and done, won't it? But meanwhile, we got record high gas prices, no water in Jackson, and a city leader that just kind of hides, pops up anytime a nightclub or bar wants to open. Speaking of that, nightclubs and bars in Jackson, I kind of touched on this yesterday a little bit. They're wanting to put a moratorium on bars and clubs opening along Capitol Street. Bro, I think it's too late. I mean, look, and I'm saying this as a guy that owned a bar on Capitol Street. However, we own a restaurant too. When we had that, the King Edward was still just a shell. It wasn't open then. I mean, I remember walking through the front door, we'll say, and urban exploring all the way to the top floor. Somewhere on an old computer at my parents' house, I think, I've got all the pictures of that. And this was back in the MySpace days, so it wasn't like I had a Facebook to load them all up to. But those would be cool to go back and look at. Anyway, when we were rocking and rolling and raising hell down on Capitol Street, we weren't affecting other businesses. After 5 o'clock, we were the only thing open. And I always knew in the back of my mind, if this development ever pops off down here, we'll be the first to go. We're not going to be the kind of bar and nightclub they want down here. And clearly they've ended up with that same situation now. But they have a very bar and nightclub friendly administration. I never thought I would be on the side of not bar and nightclub friendly. But there's just ways to run a bar. You run it right. You draw a certain crowd, or you don't run it at all. I mean, I've talked to people that work at the Mayflower. They're having to close early during the week because of the hell that's being raised across the street. I got friends that live in the Standard Life in the King Edward. They have apartments there. They're filming stuff that just doesn't make any sense. I mean, you got people riding four-wheelers and dirt bikes and ATVs on one wheel or two wheels up and down Capitol Street, going and getting to-go daiquiris and stuff, from my understanding. I've seen the four-wheelers and all riding up and down. I haven't seen the to-go daiquiris. But that's what I'm being told. That's illegal if that's happening, if allegedly that's happening. But that's what's drawing that down there. I mean, let's make no mistakes about it. So, anyhow, there's a moratorium, allegedly. It's on the docket to be voted on, I guess, in the next city council meeting. We'll see how that goes. I don't think it matters. Again, Jackson's not coming back. They can build whatever they want. They're going to put some Section 8 housing down there in one of those buildings. The old Landmark Center. It went from going to be a grocery store and this great little shared office thing to Section 8 housing. So, good job downtown. That's what they want. That's what they want to do to our suburbs, too. They want to turn everything into mixed, multiple family housing. So, avoid that if you can. All right, look, it is a great day for people who don't like to kill babies. For us non-baby murdering people, it is a great day. Today is the last day that the abortion clinic in Jackson is open. Unfortunately, there's going to be babies killed today. There will be murdering babies there today. But after today, there will be no baby murdering at the clinic, at the Pink House in Fondren. I mean, they're going to have to burn that thing down, aren't they? I mean, it'll never be able to be anything else. I mean, I guess in Fondren they could turn it into a gay bar or something, but for the most part, it'll never be able to be anything else. Maybe they could turn it into a satanic church or something. Oh, praise Jesus. So today is the last day. They lost their Chancery Court hearing yesterday where they were trying to challenge an amendment to the Mississippi Constitution by the Mississippi Supreme Court. But once Roe and Casey were overturned, it became a moot point. You can read that article over at the Jackson Jambalaya. Heck, I'll read part of it to you. Long story short here, it says Mississippi's only abortion clinic struck out in Hinds County Chancery Court today after Special Chancellor Deborah Halford denied its request to bar the state from enforcing a ban on almost all abortions. The order is posted below. The Jackson Women's Health Organization, the Pink House, relied on the little-known 1998 case of pro-choice Mississippi versus Fordyce. The Mississippi Supreme Court held the Mississippi Constitution protected a woman's right to an abortion. Although abortion is not mentioned in the document, the court ruled 24 years ago that the Mississippi Constitution gave women a right to privacy, and that included abortion. The JWHO argued Fordyce was still valid law as it sought to strike down Mississippi's trigger law of fetal heartbeat abortion ban. However, Attorney General Lynn Fitch argued that the 1998 case was based on Roe and Casey. The reversal of those two cases obliterated Fordyce. Chancellor Halford wasted no time and issued her ruling within a few hours. You can read that ruling. I'm not going to do it over at Jackson Jambalaya. And Kingfish says, obviously, there will be an appeal, and I'm sure they will appeal it. But as of right now, the abortion clinic is closing today at close of business. So there is that. Someone said maybe they can turn it into a women's health clinic. Well, I think we use the word women's health very loosely, don't we? That is a very nice way of saying killing babies. And let's not polish a turd. It is murdering babies. I'm not going to put on gloves and be nice to everybody about it. Period. At the end of the day, you're murdering babies. I mean, if you'll just give them a little time, they'll get killed in the streets of Jackson anyway. But at least let nature take its course. I mean, you never know. You could be pregnant with the next president. That's unlikely. It's unlikely, but it's not for you to decide. It is not about women's health. We're going to stop that lie. We will not acknowledge that lie on the Clay Edwards Show. If y'all aren't ready to acknowledge that the 2020 election was stolen, then I'm not ready. I'm not going to acknowledge that abortion isn't baby murdering. All right, look, man, we're going to take our first break here. When we come back, we're going to open up the phone lines and the text lines. The text line, the Guns and Gear text line is 769-241-1944. The Mac Haik of Flowwood, Chrysler, Dodge, Jeep, Ram phone line, 601-879-0002. And we'll be right back on 103.9 WYAB.
America, you love your country, so it goes without saying that you also love your ride. And Auto Armor in Flowwood wants to help you make that ride shine. Auto Armor in Flowwood is Central Mississippi's premier automotive detail and ceramic coating shop, servicing any type of vehicle, including ATVs, boats, and more. Need just a quick detail or paint correction? Auto Armor can make it happen. But if you're set to hit the road in a blaze of glory while flying the old red, white, and blue, Auto Armor should be your first and last call to give your ride a full ceramic coating. Auto Armor is locally owned and operated by the loud and proud American patriot Clay Edwards. Auto Armor also proudly backs the blue, all military and first responders. So don't forget to ask for your discount. Call 601-260-0858. 601-260-0858. Or stop in today, fellow Americans. Auto Armor is located at 4394 Mangum Drive in Flowwood. Online at AutoArmorMS.com. Auto Armor, unapologetically American.
All right, welcome back into the Clay Edwards Show. So that was a pretty good first segment there. Kind of get the party going here. If you want to call in, the Mac Haik of Flowwood, Chrysler, Dodge, Jeep, Ram phone line, 601-879-0002. I'd love to get your thoughts on all this stuff. If you want to text in, the Guns and Gear text line, 769-241-1944. And let's see, man, we got some text on the Guns and Gear text line. Said if people had the same energy they had about other topics like abortion, gay, trans, BLM stuff, if people were protesting the water situation, blocking off highways and interstates, something would get done because people would have had enough. But realistically speaking, no one's going to fight for water, which is also, in my opinion, a pro-life thing. Can't say you're pro-life if you don't care about the water situation. And the same energy people had about medical marijuana. Yeah, so I think what he's trying to say there is if you'll get out there and you tell me Black Lives Matter and your right to kill babies matters and all this stuff, if you'll protest for those things, why ain't you out there protesting for water? Because, the city's going to line up and give you free bottled water somewhere. I mean, talk about basic human rights. That's a word that gets thrown around a lot, right? Basic human rights. The right to have an abortion. Ain't that what y'all tell me? Basic human rights. Water, H2O, that's a basic human right to have running water. You got to have very little. At the end of the day, if you're going to start a new society somewhere, if we ended up on a spaceship and we had to land somewhere, you need two things at the end of the day: H2O and oxygen. And you can't have one without the other. I mean, as far as I know. I'm not a scientist. I'm just a Facebook vaccine specialist, an election specialist. Anyway, you got to have water. You got to be able to breathe. And you're going to have some kind of food, but you can't have that without the other two. So you got to have very minimal things, albeit very important things, to start a civilization. We don't have water in the capital city. Not, clean drinking water. You don't have much of a police force And again, I say it all the time. I don't blame the police force for the problems in the police force necessarily. They've been gutted. At the end of the day, they've been gutted. They're not allowed to do their job, and hadn't been for years. I mean, I know they're loosening things back up and they're letting them do some police work now, but I've got friends that have been there for 20 years that send me messages all the time. It is a crap show inside JPD. Again, but that's not a personal attack on the men and ladies in blue out there working the streets. That's a trickle down effect. Bad leadership can have a absolute negative effect on that. But anyway, I digress. We barely have law enforcement in Jackson. Did y'all see that CBS thing that ran? You can go to YouTube and type it in, like CBS 60 Minutes or CBS News. And they came to Jackson and they interviewed a bunch of mothers. It started out as several mothers, but a bunch more family members showed up of unsolved murders, the families of unsolved murder victims, and how they believe that the city's not doing anything about it. And they interviewed the police too. They gave both sides of it. I actually thought it was a really good, for a mainstream news story, I thought they were very fair and balanced. I highly recommend going and checking it out. Just type in Jackson, Mississippi, CBS News, murder victim. You'll find it. Again, if I wasn't in Facebook jail, I would share it to Save Jackson. Maybe I'll get it and go share it to the Save Jackson Twitter account. And you can follow me there at Save JXN. Let's see here. On the Guns and Gear text line says, can I have food, water, and shelter? You got to have food, water, and shelter. We got shelter in Jackson. You got food, but you're not going to have it for long if there's no water. So we got some breaking news here. It's not necessarily Jackson related, but it is from WLBT. It says, just in, heat exhaustion and dehydration causes guitar legend Carlos Santana to collapse while performing. Well, I like Carlos. I hope he's okay. I like that song, that one song he did with Rob Thomas in Matchbox 20. But anyway, you got to have the basics in a society. You got to have some law and order. You got to have water. And you got to have food. And you got to be able to breathe. But I'm going to give everybody the benefit of the doubt and just assume we land on a rock that's got oxygen and H2O. Jackson doesn't have one of those. All right, man, we got a call here on the Mac Hike of Flowwood phone line. Hey, brother, you on there?
Hey, I got a question for you, Quayne. I've never heard you talk about it. Not many people have. But for years and years, I've heard something about Chuck Wade Sr. and Benny Thompson and a certain judge back in the 80s. You know, he was a police officer at the time. It was a judge's father in Hines County. You know what I'm talking about?
Well, you're talking about Judge Skinner's dad being killed?
Yeah.
You know, that Republic of New Africa group, I don't want to quote any particulars because I don't want to get sued saying something wrong here, but there's always been speculation that there was more to that than that the guy that did the shooting may have been taking the fall for somebody else higher up the ladder.
That's what I was.
Because they said he was already dying from cancer. He took the fall. But again, that is all hearsay. You know, if they could have proved it, I would assume they would have proved it by now.
I had a JPD officer, JPD detective told me they were going to arrest him, and the FBI wouldn't let them.
Crazy.
They wanted to handle the case.
Yeah, I've always heard that, man. That's one of those urban legends around here. But the people that believe it aren't your typical conspiracy theorist type people. So But yeah, that's interesting. People can look into that. There's a lot of stuff online about it.
Yeah. You know, back when Antar got elected, I didn't think he could do any worse of a job than some other ones have done. Boy, was I wrong.
Look, you think to yourself, we've hit the floor. How much worse can it get? And they keep finding new and creative ways to get their shovels and dig.
And same way with Joe Biden.
Every time I think that can't get worse, I somehow find a new clip of him doing something, or Jean-Pierre, the black lesbian. She's worse at talking than I am.
That's bad. But, you know, Clay, if you just talk to people, especially people that voted for Biden, a lot of them are regretting it.
Well, they
I don't mean on Facebook, but on person.
They should be mocked and ridiculed for it. Everybody told them what was going to happen.
Yeah. But they just had to get rid of Trump because he was so racist, which was a crock of BS. Blacks were better off. Everybody was better off under Donald Trump, for that matter. I don't care what race, what sexuality, or whatever. You were definitely better off under Donald Trump.
Well, most of these folks that claim he was a racist never had a man in their life, an authoritative figure, so they just thought that anybody who spoke in an authoritative tone was racist because they ain't never had a man in their life, a true authority figure. That's why they thought Trump was racist.
Yeah, but Clay, I got a feeling they're fixing to try to stack the courts on us, and I think they can probably do it.
You think what?
But I think they're fixing to stack the courts. They're going to add 3 or 4 more justices.
They're going to do it. They're going to try anyway. We'll see. You still got 2 Democrats holding on, Sinema and Manchin, that say they're not going to allow for the filibuster to do it. So we'll see.
But and another thing that we got more than anything, we'll just see that in November. Have a good one, Clay.
All right, brother. All right. Look, I'll tell you what. Let's take a break real quick. You're listening to the Clay Edwards Show. We'll be right back on 103.9 WYAB. Hey, if you want to call in, Mac Hike of Flowwood phone line, 601-879-0002. The Guns and Gear text line is 769-241-1944. And if you're looking for somewhere great to eat tonight, get out to Raymond, out there at Raymond Farmers Market. Heck, they're open for lunch today, too. Get out to try the firecracker chicken sandwich, the 9-ounce ribeye steak sandwich. I got a bunch of different burgers. You can just build a monster burger. Everything's fresh. It's amazing. I'm telling you. The onion rings, the fried pickles, all that stuff. Get out there and try it. Then Thursday nights is barbecue night. Friday nights is catfish night. And Saturday night is steak night. So get out there to Raymond Farmers Market. Check them out online, RaymondFarmersMarket.com, or on Facebook at Raymond Farmers Market. We'll be right back. Breaking rules when necessary. Welcome back to your daily dose of reality radio. This is the Clay Edwards Show. And this segment is going to be brought to you by Watkins Construction and Roofing. A roof repair can cause you a lot of stress. Choosing the right roofing company to repair your roof is very important. Most contractors try to convince you that replacement is the only way to go. And that, my friends, you know it, that is not the Watkins way. They believe in an honest assessment. It doesn't necessarily mean replacement. In most cases, all you need is a repair. So whether you have a leaky roof, you need chimney roof repair, flat roof repair, roof water leak, shingle roof repair, metal roof repair, chimney flashing repair, Watkins Construction and Roofing is your go-to roof repair specialist. Give them a call today for your complimentary roof assessment. And for my folks over in South Jackson, that means free. That means free. Anyway, the phone line is 601-966-8233, or check them out online, WatkinsConstructionInc.com. All right. Again, phone lines are open. 601-879-0002 is the Mac Hike of Flowwood phone line. And the Guns and Gear text line is 769-241-1944. Well. It seems like just yesterday that the media was saying that the Highland Park shooter was a Trump supporter. Oh, right. It was just yesterday they were saying that. MAGA supporter with an AR-15, big mean AR-15. Well, quick how the story changes. He was not, in fact, a Trump supporter. He was a Antifa operative. Shocker. Let's see here. And, also, he was a cross-dresser. I mean, he did the shooting dressed as a woman. So this makes, for those at home keeping score, this makes the second trans, or at minimum, cross-dresser mass shooter in a row. The Uvalde, Texas mass shooter with a trans. I mean, they tried to hide that story. But he was trans, or at minimum, a cross-dresser. And, I mean, I'm old enough to remember that if you were a cross-dresser, you were called a transvestite. I mean, I'm not trying to talk bad about folks here, but it is what it is. That's what it was called. If you dress like a girl, you were a transvestite. Am I wrong? Okay, I don't think so. I'm not. I'm just telling y'all. This guy dressed like a girl. Transvestite. Trans is short for transvestite. I mean, they've changed the word to transgender from transvestite. I guess that's a slur or something, but not here. It is not a slur here. All right, so this is on the Gateway Pundit. And look, I know a lot of people say that we're not supposed to say these people's names because that's what they want. I don't buy into that. Sorry. If their name is relevant to the story, I'm going to say their name. Police arrested Bobby Cremo III, age 22, yesterday following the shooting in Highland Park, Illinois. Cremo killed 6, which I think is now 7, and injured over 20 more individuals at the 4th of July parade in Highland Park, Illinois. On Tuesday, the Gateway Pundit uncovered information indicating Cremo is a radical progressive with ties to Antifa and progressive groups and the occult. Let's see here. Looking over information that was collected following the deadly shooting, it is evident that Highland Park 4th of July parade killer Bobby Cremo has a very dark background. We reported on the shooter yesterday, and he was confirmed as a person of interest. Let's kind of see if I can scroll through here. Now we have information tying Cremo to progressive, socialist, Antifa, and the occult. Cremo's social network and lifestyle are all related to the progressive movement. Cremo has ties to Democratic Socialist of America, as noted by the tattoo on his neck. This is the largest and fastest growing socialist organization in the United States. Cremo also has ties to Antifa. In one picture on social media, he shares his dark Antifa outfits. That's what they refer to as Antifa Black Bloc. And throughout his social media, he shares Antifa and progressive symbology. Evidence reveals Cremo is not a Trump supporter. He makes fun of Trump and his followers on his social media posts. Cremo attended a Trump event dressed up as Where's Waldo outfit. This appears to be sarcasm and an attack on the President 45, who may also be President 47. Oh, yeah. He's definitely going to be President 47. All right, man. I'll tell you what. Y'all get the point there. Let's jump to a caller here on the Mac Hike of Flowwood phone line. Hey, caller, you on there?
Hey, so I'm not trying to put down the shooting at all, and I've got to tie it into something else, but there was 40-something people killed in Chicago. They've already got all these laws. They already had all these laws where this Highland shooting happened, these red flag laws and all that stuff. Shouldn't this be a platform for the Republicans to say, look, we don't need more gun control. What we need is mandatory gun classes. Everybody needs to know how to operate a gun. You should have to qualify for this class, and everybody should be armed. And that way we can take these things out before they get to the numbers they get to.
No, I agree 100%. And this guy bought these guns illegally too. I mean, so none of this stuff would have mattered. I mean, but they already have all these tough gun laws there in Illinois, and none of it matters.
Exactly, it doesn't matter. What matters, what's going to happen is I don't think people understand these red flag laws. You piss me off at a red light, I get your tag number, I call you in. I don't even have to know your name, and the cops come to your place because they are going to take your stuff.
Oh, look, I fully anticipate some of the same people who send me death threats, making red flag claims against me.
Why wouldn't they? And then it's on you to prove you're innocent. But the whole time while you're proving you're innocent, you're de-armed while the people who calls you in know it.
I don't think Mississippi will be partaking, but somebody did. I forget who I was listening to yesterday. It may have been Kim or somebody that called into Kim's show, or maybe it was Jameson. Anyway, somebody mentioned that Mississippi, because we're such a poor state, breaking and eventually taking the federal funds for the gun control. And I would hate to be the politicians that did it.
Well, I thought a couple of years ago, back during Obama, that Mississippi passed some sort of law. I remember making headlines about the Second Amendment being absolute. I don't remember exactly what it was. I just remember in the back of my head, they passed something.
Maybe so. Now, when Chokwe tried that nonsense of taking open carry away in Jackson, in that lawsuit, they put an amendment in there that if they try it again, there's a massive fine that Jackson has to pay. I mean, they did not play any games with them on that. So we We should be safe here, but you never know. I mean, you really never know.
I'm a firm believer that if we armed everybody and taught them how to, I'm not saying just go give everybody a gun. No, that's not right. Some people ain't got training. Just like in Israel, you have to have classes and you have to carry. Crime rate would drop.
Yeah, look, I agree with that. If you're going to go buy a new gun, I wouldn't be opposed to them forcing everybody to take some kind of gun safety course. I mean, you got to do it to drive, but of course, one is a constitutional right, one's a privilege. So a driver's license is a privilege. A gun, being able to carry a gun is a constitutional right. So I know I would lose that argument, but I wouldn't be opposed to people taking a simple gun safety course in school.
Yeah, that's what I'm saying. I mean, just something, anything.
And we're teaching them everything else, and we're teaching wokeology and CRT, and
they're teaching them how to be gay.
Exactly.
They're teaching them how to be everything else. I mean, just teach them how to operate a gun. They're not scared of them. Fine, you ain't got to carry one, but you have to actually shoot one or know how they work, so you're not scared of them. Because I'm sorry, but my AR doesn't shoot 5 million 50 caliber bullets in one pull of the trigger. It's just the things these politicians say are just ridiculous.
I mean, they've taken home ec out of schools and just replaced it with how to get knocked up and get an abortion. And, I mean, why can't we teach these fools how to shoot? Maybe we could. Maybe they would quit shooting so many innocent victims and actually just shoot the person they're trying to shoot.
They're trying to shoot. Exactly.
All right, brother. Take care. All right, man. Let's go to another caller here on the Matt Hike and Flowwood phone line. Hey, caller, you're on there.
Hey, I was going to tell you, back when I was coming up in school. In middle school, they did teach gun safety. It was part of the hunter safety course that the Mississippi Wildlife, Fisheries, and Parks would put on at the local schools.
I must have missed that day.
No, I know at Newton County High, the game wardens came and put on a hunter safety course, which included gun safety and bow and arrow safety, and we was able to shoot pellet guns there at the school with a little mock range they set up.
Could you imagine if they tried that now?
Sir?
Could you imagine the backlash if they tried that now in one of these Democrat public school districts?
Wow. But yeah, I remember, because that was before they started using your license for your hunter safety, whatever number they gave you. You had to remember that until, the whole time until, they changed it up a little bit. But they did teach gun safety at the school. Or well, in my school they did through the, Mississippi Wildlife, Fisheries, and Parks.
Well, that's good stuff, again, we need more of that.
Yeah, this woke nanny state that we got going on, everybody gets a trophy, everybody's special, and all this other nonsense. I was having a conversation with one of my coworkers the other day, and, people holler this systemic racism and cultural bias and all this type of stuff. I said, no, they say that because their parents, usually the single mother in most cases, didn't teach them to be competitive. So when you're not competitive in the job market as well as out in society, you got to blame somebody else. You understand?
I heard a great analogy yesterday. I was listening to one of these shows I watch, and they referred to those as snowplow parents. They just plow every obstacle in front of their children, so they go through life having dealt with as little adversity as possible.
Exactly. And I want to see what they're going to say about the parents of the multiple shooter in Illinois, because he was a politician, a Democrat when at that. That lost his bid for mayor, and they knew the boy had problems.
Yeah, and the current mayor was his Boy Scout troop leader, which was a girl doing Boy Scout, whatever. Neither here nor there.
Yeah, and he's LGBTQ. They're trying to hide that fact. Oh, he dressed up like a girl to slip away. No, they revealed social media posts where he already was a gender bender. So,
he dressed as a woman. He was transgender, trans fluid, pansexual, whatever, LGBTQIA plus pedophile. He was that.
PXYZ. Yeah, I get it. Yeah. But hey, one more thing I wanted to put on your marinade stove real quick.
Yeah.
Brittany Griner, what the heck did she expect going over to somebody else's country, Russia? Being your LGBTQ, that doesn't propel you over there in Russia. You know what I mean?
I'm glad you brought that up.
Yeah, I'm not saying that's what's just keeping you locked up, but you don't go to nobody else's backyard and take and put things in their refrigerator. You know what I mean? So this whole thing about you wanting to write, you wrote Biden a letter, what the heck are you going to do? If he can read the letter, if he's coherent that particular day.
I mean, I hate to be the bearer of bad news. Black people, Biden don't like y'all. You know,
We've been saying that for years.
You know, your blackness isn't doing anything for you over in Russia or here, for that matter.
I'm glad you said that, Clay, because you do know that Biden was one of the authors of the 3 Strikes You're Outlaw and the war on drugs stuff, but yet his children were the biggest offenders. Matter of fact, his daughter was in rehab when he was running for president. Then he lied and said she's doing volunteer work. No, her butt was actually in the drug rehab program. No disrespect to drug rehab programs, but Biden, you lock people up for the same offenses your children were committing.
Yeah, I saw a video last night. Was it on Jesse Waters' show of Hunter filming a Russian prostitute in his hotel room, saying, "You've never met a guy as sweet as me." You know, any guy that refers to himself as a sweet guy is a sweet guy. Hey, Derek, I got to take another call, brother. I appreciate you.
Hey, you know Hunter Biden's laptop also had him racist emails on it, too. That's another thing that they swept up under the rug.
Oh, yeah. They're everything they accuse the Trump family of being times 10.
Yep.
Take care, brother.
Uh-huh.
All right, let's go to Lacey. Hey, Lacey, you're on there.
Hi.
Hey.
Yeah, I was just calling to say, kind of changing things up a little bit about the voting of Trump being president, the 47th president. We all pray so, us that are truly Republicans. But what I'm calling about is we need to start working together as real Republicans to stop them from doing what they did in this last election, because I'm telling you, they're going to do it again. And they're thinking of better ways to do it. So I don't know how we're going to do it, but we need to start coming together, trying to figure this out to prevent them from cheating again, because they're going to do it. Because they have no morals.
There are
they
some
have
grassroots.
No morals at all.
There are some grassroots groups doing it in the background. We're going to be better prepared for this, especially in these swing states or these states like Georgia and Arizona and places like that. There's a lot of work being done on the ground.
Well, that's awesome. I didn't really know about that, but that is awesome. I just got up and was thinking about it. They're going to do it again. They're okay with doing stuff outright. They don't have any kind of godly values. They're sick in the head. They're sick. Yeah. And they're okay with cheating and openly cheating.
Well, I mean, it's how they get through life. They don't care. You cheat to win.
Yeah.
Cheat.
That's just like they don't mind killing babies. You know, they're sick.
Yeah, and
they want everybody else to be sick, and then the gay ones are angry because that God made them who they are, and they want to.
Misery loves company.
I don't know. They're just mad at everybody and everything.
Misery loves company. Lacey, I got to take a break. It's great to hear from you.
All right. You have a good day.
You too. Bye-bye. All right. You're listening to The Clay Edwards Show. We're going to take our last break of the day. Come back, land the plane on 103.9 WYAB. The Clay Edwards Show, this last segment of the day, is going to be brought to you by... How about Mac Hike, Chrysler, Dodge, Jeep, Ram of Flowood. Man, if you're out car shopping, give them a call. All right, just go show up. Ask for Corey, Abe, Parker, Hunter, or Brandon. Ask for one of the managers. Tell them your friends are Clay Edwards. Heck, call Clay Edwards. I'll come see you. I'll come sell you a car. Shoot me an email, clay@wyab.com. You can check them out online, Mac Hike, cdjrf.com, or just go to Google and type in Mac Hike Flowood. It'll pop up. Great folks. Plenty of inventory, too, out there. So, well worth checking out. If you're in the market for a gun, go out there to Gluckstadt, see my friends Hunter and his team at Guns and Gear, home of No Limit Ammo. Check them out online, gunsandgearms.com. And we appreciate them for jumping up and sponsoring our phone line here on our text line, on the Clay Edwards Show. And speaking of the text line, I have got somebody who continues to tell me I am a liar about the Uvalde shooter being a transgender or a cross-dresser, and you, my friend, are a liar. I am 100% right. You cannot prove me wrong. And that's how you win an argument with a liberal. You just simply say, prove me wrong. Make them prove you wrong. They can't do it. I'm done proving my point. My point's always right. You got to prove me wrong. And let's see here if I got time for one more text on the Guns and Gear text line. I believe that was it. Most people just chiming in saying they'll take everything out of church, or they'll teach everything in church but Christianity. All right, look, man, great show today. Had a blast. Jim Thorne up next. Podcast will be available shortly. Check out ClayEdwardsShow.com. See you tomorrow.